Joe Miller grew up in the shadow of London in the working-class town of Barnet. He shares a modest home with his mother and older brother Daniel. The day starts with food. Lots of food.
It's a high-protein diet, obviously. It's anywhere between 6 and 8 meals a day, between, say, 300 and 400 grams of protein.
From there, it's off to the gym.
We go to my gym, it's called the Works Gym, which is in Barnet as well, 2 minutes from my house. And it's today it's going to be shoulders and arms, I think, today. The gym itself is quite a serious bodybuilding gym. It's not like a fancy type of place, you know what I mean?
Morning, chap. How you doing, love?
Right, G? Right. Gonna train with my guy Tristan. He's actually an ex-cage fighter as well.
With the power and stuff, it helps with Joe. And it obviously helps with me having someone as strong as him and competitive, and someone doing sports keeps me on my toes.
I never really trained anything goal specific. I like to just train like a bodybuilder basically. I train quite hard and heavy.
From the gym, a short ride to the Shire London, Joe's home golf club.
He's coming for a lesson. I don't have to see him first, I can hear him. There's noises coming from the range that you'll never hear anywhere else.
Rain or shine, Miller puts in countless hours on a range ill-suited for the world's longest driver.
250 yards to the trees maybe, and then over the back of that is rugby fields. So yeah, just start throwing some bombs over to the rugby players, it's all good fun.
If he hits 100 balls a day, you lose 100 balls a day.
Probably about 10,000 balls a year. It costs the club a little bit of money, but you know, they don't mind.
Joe's father, Dan, introduced him to the game at a young age.
I started hitting golf balls when I was about 4 years old, really. My dad gave me a little cut down 4-iron. He used to smash it into cars and things like that, hit golf balls.
Dan was the first to see Joe's potential.
His dad always used to say, Mag, you should come and watch him. He's 10 times better than Tiger Woods.
I was a good stander. I was club champion at the age of 15. And it went on from there, really. Then eventually that sort of took me into long drive. And once long drive gets hold of you, it's hard to get out of long drive because it's so much fun.
After winning the 2005 European Championship, Miller made a splash at the 2008 Remax. Miller made it to the final night's quarterfinal round. Poor showing under the lights didn't discourage father or son.
When I got back from the Worlds 2008, he was obviously happy about my finish there. That was great, and then he started to fall ill, and eventually after scan after scan we realised it was a brain tumour.
Dan Miller fought his cancer for 2 years before succumbing in the summer of 2010. Joe took the loss hard. He didn't enter the European qualifier and planned to skip the 2010 World Championship.
He told me he wasn't going to go. I said, you need to go, your dad would like you to be there. And then he came to see me about 2 weeks beforehand and said, I made my mind up, I'm going.
It was an emotional roller coaster sort of thing. It was up and down, and I had to, eventually when I thought about it, I had to go out there and I had to do it for my dad.
As a non-exempt player, Joe battled through the last chance qualifier and then the elimination bracket to reach the quarterfinals again.
I think he put all that negative energy into something positive.
Once there, Miller dominated the competition with his strength,
gigantic. This is gigantic.
speed, and possibly some help from above.
Oh, we get a good kick to the left, and it's big.
That's the hot area. Will it stay in?
It is in, and it is long.
That might be the winning shot.
Huge.
To think that he was looking down on Joe on that day, and we saw that his ball took a massive leap left into the other, and we know that Danny was looking down, giving that a kick in bounds. And
He's probably down there, he's just nudged it in a little bit, and he gave me the helping hand I needed just to finish it off.
I was shouting, he done it for Dad, he's won it for Dad, he's made Dad proud.